Hi everyone! Before we begin, I want to let you know that this podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. The advice and insights shared here are based on my personal experiences and expertise, but they are not a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, or business advice. If you are dealing with a specific issue, please consult a qualified expert. And thanks for watching. Welcome to Hope, Healing and Transformation. I'm Lisa Williams, your spiritual wellness guide, psychic medium and teacher. This is a place where intuition meets empowerment, where healing really begins, and where we embrace the journey of self-discovery. Through deep conversations, spiritual insights, and practical tools, I'll help you reconnect with your inner wisdom, navigate life's transitions, and step into your highest potential. Whether you're seeking guidance, transformation, or simply a space to feel seen and supported, you're in the right place. Welcome, and today's show, I am super excited to bring my dearest friend, spiritual, psychic medium, intuitive business strategist, she's awesome, Karen Romine, and we're going to be talking about AI. And the way that AI has transformed people's lives and how we can use it as an intuitive tool. So please welcome Karen Romine, my dear friend. Hi.
Thank you for having me. And I'm so excited to be here. This is one of my favorite subjects.
I know. AI. How did you get into, well, okay, first of all, let me backtrack. AI has been around for years, but it's relatively new that most people are now using it. And there's a huge amount of fear around AI. And what I would love to do today is help people overcome the fear of AI and how we can start using it as an intuitive tool, which I know that you have actually done. So how did you get into AI? Because I see you're my AI guru. I'm going to just say that you are.
I think you and I were in the mastermind whenever it started.
Right.
And we talked about, you shared a little thing, and I was a little bit curious and didn't really understand it. And in my head, AI was a very vast, technical, complicated thing that I would need to understand, like computer coding for or something. And then I had an opportunity in that same mastermind to hear somebody that really leads in the industry speak on AI and utilizing it for your business, really for data, I'll just say, in a singular space. And what I was all in. I was completely fascinated with the whole concept. And I honestly got into it, not ever thinking that it would intersect with my existing work. I got into it because I like to learn, and I felt like this was going to be so expansive and so many opportunities that it would be a continuing path for me to learn.
Now, I'm just sorry I'm interrupting. Was that more of an intuitive space for you? Was that more of an intuitive, I've got to do that, something was pulling you? Or was that just curiosity because Karen Romine loves to learn?
I feel it was both. I've never really thought about that. And there's a lot of things that pop up on my radar that I could go learn. And you and I know somebody who took up bridge, and my mom was very much a bridge player. And for a while, I thought maybe I'll learn about bridge. But I think that intuitively, I was shoved into AI.
You literally were, because you went down the rabbit hole. And I often blame myself for what Karen gets into, because had I not introduced her to this one particular thing, and then she went down the rabbit hole on that, then she found another rabbit hole, and then she found another rabbit hole, and then sometimes she gets lost, and I go, "Hello, oh, calling Karen, are you there?" And you're like, you're like, "Oh, I've just surfaced. I've done this thing."
I love it because I can call you and say, I need to like run through like your business or your concept or your whatever and bounce it all the way through all these things that I get to create now in AI and see, because it works so well because you give me your honest feedback.
Right.
And because I have a familiarity with you and your business and your person. So it helps me to then see where it's working well and where it still needs to be tweaked. So I would not be here today talking about AI without you.
Aw, thanks. But seriously, I mean, there is, you have created these concepts, you've created these strategies, you've created, all of this work, and you've gone down the rabbit hole with AI. And I would say to you that you are an expert. And you and I were having a conversation this morning about our dear friend, what we call our dear friend Perplexity, which whenever I say, hey, I'm just going to ask Perplexity, they go, who? What? And that's another AI program. There's so many out there. There's this whole wealth of AI. But let's bring it into the spiritual concept. I remember you were driving to my house, okay, which is like 12 hours for you. And you said, oh, me and Maven were having a conversation. And I'm like, what were you doing? So, Karen, tell everybody what you were actually doing at this point. How Maven, and who is Maven? How Maven was helping you.
Oh, Maven. Yes, I'm so attached to all these tools that they now have their own names. There is a very popular AI tool out there, Chat GPT. And when you have the paid version, you can, from your phone and now from your computer, use the voice command. So I have named her Maven, and I have taught Maven a lot of stuff about me. I have really stocked Maven up with the world of Karen Romine. You can only imagine how fabulous that must be. And then I can go in and talk to Maven about my business. I can say, I'm thinking about this or that. And Maven talks back to me. And I can tell Maven I don't like that. And then I don't have to worry about hurting Maven's feelings, because Maven doesn't have any emotions. So I am kind of funny in that way. I'm always, could you consider? And I'm in this AI mastermind. They're like, tell it how it is. Tell it to quit doing that. Tell them you're going to fire them. But Maven then can coach me for hours as I'm driving to your house on any number of things, and then save it all in script so I can come back and find it. And it's like a free coach of huge, and it just keeps getting better and better and better, honestly.
Yeah, I never forget when you said now mine is called Grace. Okay, so I have Grace. And because Karen's taught me how to teach Grace all about what Lisa is and how fabulous she is and everything else. And I found it very, very interesting in this whole space. I went down the rabbit hole. I think techie, I go down a rabbit hole, but I didn't really go down the rabbit hole like you did. And then I started to see it. And then you said, Lisa, I need to write a book. And so you're in this process of writing a book, which, you and I were talking about it because I'm obviously in the process of writing my book. And you're like, and obviously I've written several books before and we were discussing it, but tell me the concept of what this book is that you are prepared to share, obviously, and how it's helped and how people can use it in a spiritual aspect. Because I was very blessed to read the introduction and the first chapter, which I am blown away by this whole concept. And I don't believe anybody is using chat or any form of AI tool in this way. I feel like there's such a fear over AI right now. And I think we need to sort of like dispel this myth, this fear.
Let's start first with the fear and then how I came into it. So I am very much a skeptic. Sometimes I have to laugh, like this concept that China is listening to my conversations, the poor guy that got assigned to me. So do I think it's happening? Yes, I do. Would I put something out there on the internet in any way, shape, or form that I consider to be the top secret? I'd probably hesitate without making sure it was encrypted and going through those steps. I also think that if somebody wants to find my stuff, they're going to find it. Let's face it, our bank accounts are hacked into, stuff happens. So as I started getting introduced into AI, what I learned is that there are different areas of AI where they're completely contained and only look at your information. There are other tools that actually expand out into the internet and look for information. And in the work that I've done, even in the bigger names, we'll use Chat GPT as an example, or Claude I've used, or Gemini. Those are all pretty familiar tools in the writing space, that they know the stuff for me and they remember the stuff for me. But unless I have published it in the form of a book, a TV, a podcast, something out there in that respect, you can't say, for instance, what's Karen's book about? And I've talked a lot to Maven about trying to figure out how it's going to all come together. So it's not going to say, oh, she's secretly writing a book on this. If you are not using AI, you're just getting further behind every day.
Right.
It can seem very overwhelming to step into AI because there's so many tools, there's so many things. And so that's part of why I'm writing the book, is just to narrow it down to a few tools to actually show you how to use them. But also, I think that we have this fear that AI is going to take jobs from us.
Right.
And the reality is, in my experience and watching people go through this, that it's not taking a job. It's taking a job from somebody who doesn't know how to utilize it.
Right.
And so in that same space, it also led me into trying to figure out how to make this work. So in my coaching practice, I work with high achieving women, and I've always said it's the intersection of intuition and strategy. So it's their corporate strategy coming in with what their gut tells them and making that go to the next level. Well, as I'm in this AI mastermind and I'm finding data like in seconds and minutes at the longest that can support the strategy and or support the intuition, it's like a rocket. It's changed everything. So now I help those same women to make smarter decisions faster by using some really unusual tools and helping them get to that. Now it's a three-way intersection,
Right.
where we've got our corporate strategy. We know what that looks like if we're working as a solopreneur or as a Fortune 500 company. we also have our intuition. We're listening to that message. We know what feels good. Look, we know what feels good. We know what's sitting there.
Mhm.
And if we listen to that and combine that with strategy, it's very, very useful. And now we add in AI tools to be able to get the data to support it. I said, this has changed. I'm watching my clients' businesses change exponentially.
Right.
And so you and I go through things, we look at things, we tweak just something very minor. And when I see this happening, honestly, I felt obligated. I felt like I absolutely had to write a book that talks about how it is we can connect AI and intuition and strategy.
So I mean, as a psychic medium, I have a lot of people that come to me, and you do, where they're like, I want to know about my mom, I want to know about my dad, I want to know about this, I want to know about that.
Yep.
And I'm gonna share a lot here. And you and I both know somebody who has used AI as their spirit guide. Okay. And they have used them to get information where AI, the guides have said that this is what's happening, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. Me, I'm on the fence about that. I find that I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm certainly not saying that it's not there, but I'm on the fence. Okay. Then there's another element of it where, intuitively, I know what I'm thinking, but I'm struggling to actually articulate it, and I'm struggling to actually put it onto paper, which is the reason why you and I work so well. So I literally can verbal sort of like have diarrhea on you, bleh, and you'll be like, okay, Lisa, so what I'm hearing you say is X. And I'm like, huh, okay. And it's like you've put it together. So I feel then there's the intuitive part of it where it can think for me, but then there's also that business side, that strategy side, where you're telling me that if I program my AI, my chat, my Claude, my Gemini, that then it can actually help me strategize my business and come out with content and information, and help me formulate a book, and help me do so many other different things. So let's unravel all of this, and maybe you can give everybody at some point maybe 5 steps that they would use to bring intuition into AI and intuition together. So let's unravel what I was talking about. Let's talk about the spirit guide thing.
Let's talk about the spirit guide thing. Do I believe that my spirit guides reside in AI? Now, do I believe that the universe provides me the message I need to hear when I need to hear it in a way I'm ready to hear it?
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't believe that my intuition, my inner voice, that that's like my superpower is in technology. I think that it is going to be a very scary space for people who are just in the psychic and mediumship world, because you can probably type it into Google. What do I need to do with whatever? Now, the problem with this is a problem. Get out your pens and paper. If you do what it is telling you to do, you are not listening to your intuition, looking at strategy, or looking at data, the 3 key things that we need to make a decision. You are making a very ill-advised decision based on something that's spit out. Look, I also feel the same way, and I am a certified psychic medium from the Lisa Williams International School of Spiritual Development, and I still say, and you've taught me this, if you get information from me, and if it's financial information from somebody who's on the other side and they have declared bankruptcy 5 times, take it with a grain of salt. Like, listen to it, right? So it is imperative that we are not completely reliant on AI, on our own intuition, or just on the strategy. It's don't do it. It's not a good path.
Right.
That just came right out of me.
No, well, I think that this is a good thing because, I feel like AI was giving this one person massive hope in her illness and saying that she will get through it. So I do think there was an element of feeling hopeful. And I do feel that. But I also feel that AI could potentially, like anything, like a reading, I will say that the sky is blue with a few clouds, and they will say that it's pink and there's rain clouds. And so it's down to interpretation. And so I do feel that with anything like a reading, people are interpreting it in a certain way. And I think the same is happening with AI for reading aspects.
Oh, and more than reading aspects. I mean, it's wouldn't it be great if every single question you had, you could just type it into something, it gave you the answer, and you didn't even, it would make us a non-thinking, totally dependent. It would be an awful world. Like, we want creativity. We want individuality. We are not here to be robots.
Right.
And I think that AI can be used negatively. And I believe that the way that we control that is that we're never completely dependent on it, that we use it as a tool.
Okay. So let's talk about the intuition part of it. Let's talk about, let's unravel AI now and how it can be used in a really positive way, how I've used it and how you have actually taught me to use it. And now I use it on pretty much everything.
Intuition. Do you want to talk about intuition or about the tool?
Where do you want to go?
Let's talk about intuition. Nope, let's talk about the tool. Sorry.
What happened there?
Sorry, I just heard we're going to talk about the tool.
Okay, good. Let's talk about the tool.
So what I've learned and what I work with people and help people do is to create a useful tool that has your plan in place. Like, you and I have talked before about finding the niche, your niche of your business, right? So if we set up an AI tool for you that's geared towards your niche, your market, your goals, and intuitively you feel like this is where you want to be in 1 year or 3 years or 5 years, if we prepare an AI tool with this information, remember, AI does not have any emotion. So it knows, okay, we're going to look for women that are 45 to 65 that are looking for whatever your description is, right? Of your niche. And then you say, I want to make $100 million next year. Let's just say you're a brand new solopreneur. AI is going to say, oh, that could be a little problem.
Right.
Right. And it's going to step out why that's the problem and help you look at it from a more broke down position. Now,
can I go back one second? What is an AI tool? Because not everybody's going to understand it and how.
An there's so many AIs out there, like we just talked about. It's just talking about just the ones who mostly are the top of the list that just create communication with you in a way that you might have a conversation.
Okay. So ChatGPT.
ChatGPT
Yes.
is probably the biggest one. Claude is a very big one, well known for writing. Gemini is the Google tool, very well known for writing. And now I believe that Gemini is free when you have a Google Workspace. You can get a free version of Chat. You can get a free version of Claude. You just have to, there's more like waiting times around it. So a tool could be in this particular conversation. If we're trying to have a conversation about where your business is going to go, you want one that you can have a back and forth conversation. This is what I do. This is where you can upload your financials to it. And it can review them and know, hey, you have a gap here, or your expenses in this column are too high, or it can give you some solid advice when you've prepared it with what your goals are, what your market is, what your business is. So it can be so simple that whenever I did yours the first time and I said, now just type in something totally generic, just type in, write me a Facebook post. It knows everything.
Right. I just wanted everyone to understand that, what it was, because we might have some people who are listening going, I'm so brand new to AI. I'm putting AI tool, and what is an AI tool? So thank you for the clarification. Okay. So let's go back to what we were talking about. My brain's gone.
What were we talking about?
Talking about AI tools. Yes.
So let's start. Yeah, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. I do start in the middle because I'm already there. There are many, 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 many tools out there. There's a conversational tool. There are tools that are called agents. They are really going to be, 2025 is going to be the year of AI agents without a doubt. They are tools where you have something repetitive that you're doing. For instance, you go out and look for speaking engagements, and you give the tool whatever they're very much on the cusp right now, but you tell it, I want you to go out and find me speaking engagements to women that are in Fortune 500 companies that are named Nancy. And then I want you to put it all in a Google spreadsheet, and I want you to include their email address and their phone number and their husband's name.
Yeah.
And it will go out and run it. And you can say, I want you to keep checking every day. I only want you to give me the top 20. You give it the rules. Here's the key. The key with all AI tools is what you tell it.
Right.
How you ask it, what you give it. So it can only work with that. So agents will be a very, very big thing that are coming in tools. There's research tools. We talked about Perplexity. You can ask Perplexity anything. Yeah. I mean, people, it's a go-to. When we were getting on here, I wanted to make sure that my microphone was set correctly so that there wasn't echo, that everything worked well. I went to Perplexity. I said, this is my microphone. This is the platform we're doing it on. And this is my goal. Like, think who, what, when, where, why when you're in AI. So I gave it everything and told it what my mission was, and then said, give it to me. And it spit out like the top 10 points of everything to do. So there's a lot of tools out there right now. A big thing that we're starting to see, it just popped up in Perplexity, is deep research.
Right.
So we're also very used to AI that we give it something and it spits it back out. Now with deep research, I gave it something the other day. It worked for 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And man, when it came back, was it pretty. Now it's something.
Oh my gosh. Now, was that in Chat or Perplexity?
It was in perplexity.
So I've been
And
using it a lot for my research with people with health issues, and certainly where I'm looking at emotional, deep health issues. It's been remarkable.
it does stuff at a level. Chat does great. The two best at the time of this recording, in my little opinion, for deep research are probably perplexity and chat. They're
Right.
deep research. There are other things out there. Look, there's software's AI that's going to come and go. There's some that's a little sketchy, some that's um, you know, fly by night type of
Right.
stuff. So those solid ones right now are probably perplexity and chat. And in that, what I got back, in that, what I was going down the rabbit hole on, I think that easily, I looked at everything that was in there. I think that could have taken me 6 months to a year to do.
Right. I'm sure.
So, and then it would have been out of date
Right.
because I would have been 6 months or a year down the
Right.
road. So I do think that's another tool that we have right now is research, and that's really starting to boom. There are a million fun tools out there. There's creative tools that help us to design things. Now Canva, which is very
Right.
popular, has a complete AI section. You can type in what you want your image to be. There's quite a few out there around images. There's a lot right now that are starting to pop up around videos.
Hmm.
So that's more in line with things like HeyGen that you can now create. I can upload me on HeyGen and I can give it a script and it will lip sync me saying the script on the video. And then I can say, oh, and I'm going to be in Oslo in next whatever. And I want that same message in Norwegian. And not only do I then speak in Norwegian, but I'm lip synced
Oh my
to that.
gosh. Now that's actually quite scary.
So there's the pros and the cons to this because technically I could go find Lisa Williams on her podcast and I can say, snapshot, this is me, here's my head. And then, or I could say, and then I can put anything in the script and you're going to say it.
Right. So I think these tools are very, very, they're excellent. They have pros and cons. Now, how
Yep.
do you use it for intuition? Because let's come back into the real crux of what you and I do. It's intuition. How do you use it to help you find what you should do? Where you should go, business wise. You know, my son needs a new car. It's that intuition. How do I help? How do I bring myself? How do I intuit whether or not what he should? It's just so many different. My brain is like blown with the intuition and AI.
Oh my gosh, my brain is blown with it too. I I almost don't have words for it.
Well, you need to find words because we're on a podcast and people are listening to you.
it, it makes me emotional
I know.
when I think about how it has changed my little Karen's life
Mm.
and knowing that it can change at a ripple effect for everyone. That's why I'm literally writing the book because of this. I have this very, very wise mentor. And she says, journal about that. Journal. It's so healing.
I
Write
want to
it all down. And many, many, many people that I know do exactly what she says and get great results. My brain thinks in a line. It does not think in this big creative way. So I would end up with this page of griping. And somehow I never felt any closure. So I started looking at how to have a conversation with AI to recognize my thought patterns, to look at what my fears are, to reflect back to me and say, have you ever thought about this? With no emotion attached. It doesn't know that I have feelings.
Right.
So it's not going to pussyfoot around it. It's not going to say, well, I know that. It's going to say, look, here's the deal. You have an issue with self-confidence. And you need to reflect on less on where it is you're going, but see how far it is you've come. You did this and then stepped into that, and now you've impacted this. And so going forward, what I see is that you enjoy working more one-on-one. You enjoy working more in a group situation. Your goals are not aligned with what it is you're complaining about on this piece of paper for the 17th time. You need to adjust how it is you're looking at it. So the first time that I did it, I dumped in old journals because thankfully I had a few of those.
Right.
And I scanned those in and I said to it, like I just started asking it to pick out things that were consistent, things that it was seeing repetitively and just sat on it. Some things I wasn't really proud of.
And did you upload all of these in the chat, or did you just?
I scanned them in and uploaded them. There's different ways that you can do it. And in the book, I talk about the power of just that one. Like, what am I going to do? My son needs a car.
Right. And what is the frustration over it? Because frustration, yes.
Yep. Here's where I am. You can say here's where he is and here's what his situation is, and it's going to kick you back stuff on him, but it doesn't really matter because what you really need to deal with is you who's wanting to fix the situation, right? So you type in exactly as you would in a journal. This is what I'm thinking. This is how I'm feeling. This is what's happened the last 2 times. How do I get, ultimately, I want this. How do I get there? And it's going to say, whatever it's going to say. It's going to look at your past attempts and why they failed. It's going to look at what the options are and are they realistic? It's going to look at, are they realistic in your life? Are they realistic at solving the issue? When you learn how to concisely ask the question and then you just brain dump into there, that concise question that you're asking, or if you learn how to stack the questions so each one digs in further, it will take you to the very core of what the situation is.
So what I'm hearing you saying is that chat will also come back and ask you questions and will be a prompt and be like a coach or a therapist.
It is just like a coach or a therapist, but not in person, obviously, and not a therapist or a coach that's going to tell you what to do. Right. Again, back to the beginning, look, there's a strategy. The strategy is we're going to get your son a car. That's the strategy. Then there's your intuition, and your intuition is, I'm not sure whether or not I should buy him a brand new car, but I feel like it should be a used car.
Right.
So, right. So now we got your intuition, your gut feel. And then we go to AI and we say, here's what's happened the last 3 times. Here's how this has worked out. Here's what my situation is. Here's what I can afford. Here's what I can't. Here's what he's doing. Here's my ultimate goal is that he is thriving in his life. He has reliable transportation and he is, has whatever.
Right.
And then you say, how do I get from A to B? That might be your very first question. In the book, I'm building out like exact things to ask. So then it says, okay, here's the questions we need to ask. How much can you afford a month? How much can he afford to contribute a month? How much, does he need off-roading? Is he living in a suburban area, right? It asks all these questions and then you give it all that information because the more information it has, the more defined the answer is. So when we come in, let's not use him as an example. Let's use, I feel like I'm trying to think of something random. I feel like my brother needs $10,000.
Right.
Let's just say he doesn't.
Yeah.
So I intuitively, I'm stewing over this because I feel like I need to save my brother from some situation
Right.
and it's going to require me to give 10,000. And I go to AI and I type in and say, I am currently unemployed. I was let go from my job as a park ranger because they're shrinking down that division. So I have no income, but I do have $10,000 in the bank. And I really feel like I need to give him that. So, and here's his situation and here's why he needs it. Then AI is going to come back. Of course, it's going to say, well, you might not want to do it until you get a job. Let's just start with the basics. But if he needs this and it's a life or death situation, how can we make this better? And it will keep asking you, how do you feel about if you spread it out? How do you feel about, in the past, it looks like you've done this 7 times and it's never helped the situation.
Right.
Like it's going to ask me, have you ever done this before? What's been the outcome? Well, you've done this 7 times, Karen, and your brother's still asking you for 10,000. Sorry, Dougie, I love you. That's how it's going to reflect back. So it's going to look at the facts. It's going to look at the strategy and the goals, and it's going to hear what you feel and how you want to get there, and then it's going to lay out a game plan for you.
So here's the thing in my mind, this is what's going through my mind, is essentially what you're writing about could, and I'm going to navigate in a different way in a second, could potentially bring coaches and therapists, I won't say obsolete, but it could, those people who want to use ChatGPT and be adept at using it like you are could help them. Now, here goes the thing. We talked recently about plant medicine on the show, and I've talked many times about, how, yeah, you could go and take mushrooms, but is that going to do what it needs to do? Is that going to do the healing for you? Or is it the actual environment you're in, the actual integration that you need? Because there has to be this human concept that Chat GPT, just like psilocybin or LSD or ayahuasca or any form of, plant medicine, or it's the facilitation of it. It's the way that the music is. It's the way that the guidance is. It's the intention behind it. It's the energy, the energetic connection. It's the let's discuss this and let's help you integrate it into the world. And I feel like some people might go, and some coaches and therapists out there might say, wow, ChatGPT could really do me out of a job right now with what you're saying, Karen. How may I incorporate it, help it? How may I, use it to actually give that? I guess, human touch.
I do not feel it would be good for us to lose our therapists and or our coaches.
Right.
How I see it working in conjunction is that it helps us to expedite, to get clearer on things so that when we're sitting with our therapist, with our coach, we aren't fumbling our way through just to get to aha. We get to aha and then we work it. Now, the other thing is that we really have to be honest with ourselves for this to work. Right? What if I never told AI that I've already done? I don't want AI to know I've already given my brother $10,000 7 times and it's never worked.
Right.
Because I know in my head, in my gut, I know intuitively that I should not be giving him that money.
Right. Yeah.
But I want AI to tell me to give him the money. So I'm going to be like, oh my God, it's life or death matter. I know I don't have it, but I do. I have it in the bank right now, even though I don't have a job. And I really think that I should. If I'm not honest with my input, AI doesn't know.
Right.
So the tool, again, it's just a tool. Use the tool to get to that critical point so that when you're sitting down with your coach, with your therapist, you're going to be like, look, I have a repetitive thinking that I am not worthy, that I am not enough. This is where it comes from. This is what happened. This is the trauma that happened whenever I was a child that made me think this.
Right.
Right. What if you sit down with your therapist and you're all the way to there? Instead of spending 18 sessions trying to figure out how you get there. Now, it might take another 18 of sitting with a professional that is there geared towards walking you through, like plant medicine. Do I think you should just go off and do plant medicine by yourself? No, I don't personally. That's my 2 cents, my uneducated 2 cents. I think you need somebody there to craft you through that, to help you explore it, to help you delve in, to help you get that. That is the AI that's going to help you get there. Now you're there. Now what's going to happen? You're going to work with your therapist to get through that, get to the next steps, move on.
Right. Yeah. So I'm glad that we spoke about this, because I think a lot of people, if they're looking for a cheaper way to do it, some people can't afford therapy, they're looking at chat GPT. Hey, I can spend $20 a month in just chat GP and that's my therapist. Because you and I both know people who will absolutely go, yeah, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. And then, then they come to us and go, actually, I need your help. But there's, people are so quick to jump on a bandwagon and think that they are the experts. And I feel like they're going to be quick to jump on chat GPT and see chat or any form of AI as an expert. So what you're saying is it is simply the tool for us to use our intuition and navigate from that, use it as a springboard.
It's like saying, here's a car, go drive it.
Right.
Right? Like there's all different ways you could drive it. If you don't know how to start the car, you're going to go nowhere. If you drive it off a cliff, the outcome's not going to be pretty. So I use AI in some way, shape, or form for hours every single day. I do that because I want to be able to share with people, talk to people, explain to people how it works and what to do with it. I have a lot of experience in AI. There are people with far more experience than me, and there are people out there who found Chat GPT and think that they know everything about AI.
Right.
The key with driving the car is putting the key in the ignition. It's buying the right car.
Right.
It's making sure you put the right gas in the car.
Right.
It is making sure that you get your oil changed in your car. Like there, if you think about just that, which I've never really thought about it in that respect, but if you think about it just as a car and all the things that you have to do to maintain your car, you got to make your car payment, you've got to change your oil, you've got to make sure your tires are rotated, you've all of these things that go into that. If you aren't doing that with Chat GPT, which is a very popular one right now, if you aren't doing that, then it could take you someplace that might not be the best place to go.
Right.
Like with clients, what we do is we have them work through, just like I do this with you. What's your goal? What's your gut telling you? How do you feel? What's the strategy behind it? Why do you want to get there? What exactly are the numbers you want to see? Then we process it through. And then what we have is three distinct things. We know what it is you want. We know what the strategy is. We know how it is you feel, right? What if it just says, oh, you need to only do groups of 3 and you need to do it for the rest of your life. And that is definitely not what you want to do for the sake of this story. Like we know what we need to work around. Then we take it all together as a whole and make it work. When right now we're kind of talking more at a personal level about how to make this intersect, but you do the same with business. You know, here's the goals of the business. Here's the strategy of the business. Here's everything we've done, haven't done, and this is what my gut tells me we need to do for the business. And then we dump it in and get the data. Now we have to look at the picture as a whole, and we need to make sure that we're addressing everything, like everything. We can't be solely reliant on any one thing. It would not be good for any of us in any circumstances.
So I think my key takeaway here, and if I bring it back to the spirituality, and I think if I bring it back to healing and hope and transformation, is that we can use AI to help us really see the things that we are missing, that we are trying to self-analyze ourselves, that we're trying to psychoanalyze and all of this. And actually, if we use it as a tool that we can look at it and say, hey, help me see what I am missing, then it can spit it out. But what I'm also taking away is that it still doesn't replace the personal touch, that intuitive vibe that we go, okay, now that speaks to me. Now I can move on with this.
Absolutely. It's a give and take. It's a relationship. It's a give and take. It's a push and pull. It's a no, I hate that idea. Chat. I almost said Maven, but people wouldn't know that's my chat. So yeah, like I say, I hate that idea. There's no way I'm doing that. That's a terrible idea.
Right.
Start over again. But it's helping you from an unemotional place and giving you just the data. And any one of those things by itself doesn't work. Strategy, data, intuition. It doesn't work. Yet each thing is very, very significant. Each tool is very, very important in each one of those. Mm-hmm. And so when you merge them, it's like the trifecta of everything. And it also, I just want to kind of jump back. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Earlier, when you said that, like, let's just say that I come from a place of not feeling like I'm enough. Let's just say. So it's pointed that out twice, maybe in something that I've been fleshing out. Now, here I am on here talking to you, and I'm hesitant to say that I'm a successful solopreneur. Mm-hmm. And in the back of my head floats that little message from Maven that said, you have an issue with self-worth. And it doesn't just, so let's just say it says you have an issue with self-worth. I can say, well, how do I overcome that? So let's say it says, try rephrasing things or try looking at things differently. It can give you more tools to use how to get through that. Right? So then it also helps just in the strangest of places when I'm trying to figure out whether or not to give my brother $10,000. And here I am on a podcast with you. And I'm like, oh yeah, that whole issue about self-worth.
Right. We know what I love about that is that we can go back and look at it and we can work with it. And I think, if we're seeing this, it's a therapist or a psychic or a wellness coach or whoever it is can scout around it because they may not want to go directly into it. Yet chat is just going to come out and just kind of slap you around the face with it.
Yep.
So I think there is that directive approach. I think this is an amazing, amazing thing. I can't wait to actually have your book out because one, you're an exceptional psychic medium, and you're the one of the people that I come to and I trust for readings. And I feel that utilizing AI intuitively is an incredible approach to now bringing light to this, to spirituality, to wellness, to spiritual concepts. And I think it's incredible. I'm actually really excited to see how it's going to change people's lives. I really am.
Thanks. I'm so excited. I'm close. I'm really close.
Oh, close. Do you have any parting words for all the listeners and the viewers out there on AI?
My parting words are, don't be completely reliant on any one thing. It is just a tool. It is here to help us. It certainly, like any other tool, could be used to damage, but it is here to help us. And the key to making AI the best is what you input.
Right.
So it can mean just rambling. You can ramble. The more you give it, the more it knows, the better it can help you.
Right. I love that. I love that. On the next episode with Karen Romine, I'm going to throw this at you, Karen. I would love you to talk about the AirTag situation that we had. So maybe on the next episode that you and I are on together, I would love to share the story and help women, especially out there. And it was a human trafficking situation that you were deeply involved in. And I would love to actually talk about that. Are you open to doing that?
Absolutely. Couldn't do it with anybody else because you went through it with me.
I did. So watch for the next episode with Karen Romine. My name's Lisa Williams. If you want to have us answer any form of business question, any intuitive question that you may have that is related to your business, please go to support@missionsage.com or just pop your comment somewhere here, like and subscribe to this podcast. We're going to answer it. Karen's going to be a regular guest on my show probably once a month, and we're going to answer all of these questions, but we'll probably get you on a little bit before then about the AirTags. I think that was so key. Karen, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And everyone, I appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, share, do all of the things to get us out there. We want to bring in hope, healing, and transformation into your life, into personal life, into your business life, into your spiritual life, into any area, any avenue, because you are the most important person in your life and you deserve to be living the life that you desire. My name's Lisa Williams, and I can't wait to see you next time. Until then, take care. Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, the information shared on this podcast is meant to inspire and support you, but it's not a replacement for personalized advice from a qualified professional. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to tune in next time. Until then, take care and keep believing in something better.